Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first Agents of Change Summit, and I certainly hope not the last. We're going to have a conversation today about content designed for teenagers, and to a larger extent, Gen Z at large. Before we begin, I do have a couple of questions. The first is, show of hands, how many of you are active users of Snapchat? Okay. All right, you guys are hip, you're with it. Nice. How many of you are part of the Gen Z generation? Okay, so we have a few. Nice. Hi. Wonderful. Well, we're going to have a conversation today as it relates to content development that's based on teenager user behavior, both from a creative and technological standpoint. But first, I'd like to take a step back and talk a little bit about Gen Z, and specifically teenagers. We have, as a platform, the largest US-based audience of 13 to 24-year-olds of any platform that exists today. And so we do have a great deal of insights from our own personal data, as well as a research study that we did called True to Selfie in partnership with an independent research firm called Cassandra. And so I'd like to share with you some insights about teenagers and Gen Z, again, from a creative and technological standpoint, that'll help inform the way that we creatively approach the kinds of messages that we're getting across to young people at a pivotal time in their lives to do what all of you are here trying to do, which is behavioral change. So first and foremost, Gen Z is the largest generation, and I think that's important for two reasons. One, the scale of the opportunity on Snapchat to engage them in a meaningful way. But then also, we're talking about a group that spends over 40 minutes plus on Snapchat any given day. So they're invested in our platform. It's their social platform of choice. And again, we have an incredible opportunity to speak with them and talk to them about what matters to them. We're talking about the first mobile-first generation. They were born into a high-tech world, and their phone is integral to their daily lives. 97% of Gen Zers have smartphones in their pocket, and on average, they got their first phone when they were 10 years old. 78% of them say that their mobile phone is the primary tool that they use to access the internet. Not just their camera, but the internet at large. So they're spending much less time on desktop than our generations, and they're focused on their phone as a utility for the internet and for communication with the people that are closest to them. They're also spending over 5 hours a day on their mobile device. Because of this, they think differently, not just about the content that they consume, but the way in which they create content to share into the social world. Creativity is in their DNA. They're self-defined super creatives. Over half of them think that they're more creative than any generation that came before them. Kind of disagree with that, but okay, agree to disagree. And the way they think about creative is also very unique. They're setting a different visual tone, right? They're using the tools that companies like Snap have given them, Facebook, Instagram, to add layers of meaning and context to the communications that they send and the storytelling that they perform. Gen Z is also about just creating their own experience and using tools that are at their fingertips to empower themselves and their friends to live the life that they would like to lead. They use social media as a creative outlet. Let's see here. 56% claim that they use social media for creative expression. Over half of them are adding texts or captions, layers of meaning and context to the social media posts that they're making. And over 40% are enhancing those communications with augmented reality and filters. What do they care about? They care about being authentic, right? We asked Gen Zers to come up with a slogan for their generation, and they were all centered around this idea of the authentic self. Just be yourself. Just do what makes you happy. Along those same lines, they care about self-expression. They really care about being able to expressing themselves freely and experiencing the world in a very real and authentic way. They also care about social responsibility. They post about the causes and the organizations, the things that they care about. They're willing to advocate on their behalf. And they also hold their beliefs and values very close to their heart. We did a poll, and 67% of Gen Z girls say that being true to oneself and one's values is the new definition of being cool. So they're looking at the world a little bit different, and I think this goes back to what Sebastian was saying at the end of day one, of being optimistic about this generation because they do care. They're invested in their communities, they're invested in themselves, and that idea of self-care isn't something that they coined, but it's a term that they have internalized and think about throughout their daily lives. Along those same lines, they really care about their friends and their family. We did an additional poll. 70% say that their closest friends are like family. And 87% rank best friends as the most influential when making important decisions. This kind of feels like a truism, but when you think about yourself as a case study of one, we look to the people that we trust and that we rely on to make important decisions about our lives. That includes seeking treatment. That includes asking for help. It's those people that you are closest to that matter the most in making these important decisions. And again, yesterday, I think it was Dr. Norris who said, how do we build communities to grow people in? And that's one of the things about Snap that I'm so enthusiastic about, is that Snapchat truly is a community of best friends. You're not connected to thousands of people like you might be in other social environments. The people you're connected to on Snap tends to be the people you would text message. And what that means is that, especially for teenagers who are sensitive to social media environments, they're free to be themselves, that authentic self, right, with their closest friends and family. That, combined with a lack of social currency, creates a social environment that is very expressive, that is very empowering, and also, to a certain extent, lacks trolling, right? People can't make fun of people on Snap because there's no ability to do that on our platform. So our mission as a company is actually very much inspired by Gen Z's and teenagers' view of the world, to contribute to human progress by empowering people to express themselves, live in the moment, learn about the world, and have fun together. So for those who didn't raise their hands in terms of being Snapchat users, it's okay. I'm hoping to get a couple of new unique reach numbers today. And I would like to just walk you through kind of the UI of Snapchat. So this kind of gives you a breakdown. So if you open up Snapchat, this is what it looks like. You swipe to the left, you swipe to the right, but we always have and we always will open to the camera. And the reason for that is we want to be the fastest way for people to communicate using the tool that the younger generations are most comfortable using, the camera. And the camera as a utility for expressing yourself and experiencing the world. When you swipe to the left, that's the interpersonal side of Snap. It's your one-to-one, one-to-many communication, again, with your closest friends and family, text messaging, if you will. When you swipe to the right, this is Discover. And this is an area that Snap has spent a ton of time investing in, and really it just boils down to short-form, vertical, mobile content that's bespoke to our platform and designed to be consumed in between 3 and 5 minutes. And to give you a sense of how individuals are using our platform, 60% are chatting every day. I don't know if you heard of streaks, but they're still very much alive amongst the younger audience. On average, there's 20 plus snaps taken every day per user. And there's over 10 billion short-form videos consumed on Snap every day. To put that number in perspective, that is more than all of the photos taken on smartphones in the world in one day. So I want to talk a little bit about quality content and the discover side of Snapchat. The reason I want to do that is because I think as it relates to Gen Z and teenagers, given the phone is such a focal point of their lives, it's affecting the way, one, that they express themselves, but also in the way in which they consume content, right? These aren't your traditional linear television viewers, right? They're redefining the way in which they consume content and what it means to watch video. At this point, we have over 450 premium content channels on Snap. And that's everything from ESPN, has a twice daily sports center on Snapchat, to Stay Tuned, which is NBC's twice daily news show, or 60 Minutes, if you will. To one of my favorites, it's actually a Snapchat original show, of which we're launching a couple hundred this year. It's a show called Wall Black. It launched in partnership with, to coexist with Black History Month, and it chronicles the lives of Black youth throughout the country, the struggles they face, the odds that they've broken. And all of these shows, again, they're episodic, they're 3 to 5 minutes in length, and over 50 of them have a monthly active viewership of 10 million users. If that was a TV show, it would be the highest rated TV show on network television today. We know that this is important because mobile matters now more than ever. I don't think I have to tell you that again. It goes back to your own user behavior. US adults on average spending 3.5 hours of time on their phone. And that's 4.7, almost 5 for Gen Z and millennials. And over 2 hours of that is spent watching video every day. Another interesting way to look at this is over a spectrum of time, what are the viewer behaviors that are taking place within younger audiences? So we track that over the course of a day, and this is the percentage of people watching short-form video by hour on Snapchat. And as you can see, it peaks within that 7 to 9 p.m. time frame. So it's not that teenagers, young people, are not tuning into prime time. They're redefining what it means to do that. And to me, I see that as an opportunity. If we want to reach young people on their terms in an environment where they're consuming content the way they want to consume it, we should go there. And we should go there on their terms and creatively consider the messages that we're sending to be in line with that kind of archetype, that persona that I shared with you, right? Authenticity, being real, not being afraid to express yourself, and telling them how they can help themselves and take care of themselves, again, in an authentic way. I want to show you an example of that content that exists on Snap. So again, bespoke vertical short-form content. This was produced, this is our Stay Tuned, our NBC twice daily news show. And this program is averaging 25 to 35 million monthly active users. And that represents a 2/3 net new audience to NBC. 65% are between the ages of 13 and 24, and 93% are under the age of 35. So again, when you think about the sea change of people's consumption habits, it makes me very optimistic about young people, right? They care about news. They want to be informed. These things matter to them. They're participants in the world. They're active participants. But they want to consume it on their terms, on the platform of their choice. So I think this is a great example of our partnership with NBC where we're going to them, right? We're not forcing them into a linear television viewing behavior. So in what other ways can we take advantage of outreach to young people on Snapchat as a platform? I want to walk you through quickly a couple of the advertising opportunities. Really, this is all of the advertising opportunities that exist on Snap. And they fall into 2 buckets: content marketing, or video marketing, and camera marketing, which sounds kind of like, what is that? What do you mean, camera marketing? Because the camera is so much a focal point of their lives, a utility, we have opportunities to engage them in the camera with marketing messages. But first, I want to talk a little bit about content. I'm going to show you a few examples. This first one, it's a Snap ad. It's a vertical video up to 10-second ad unit that can be up to 10 seconds, but its sweet spot's about 3 to 5 seconds in length, and it can be stills and cinemagraphs. And if your goal is direct response, if you're trying to get people to take an action, this is the unit that is for you. We now just launched an ability to swipe up to text or chat, and we've seen a lot of success with the Truth Initiative, swiping up to text because they have an anti-tobacco, anti-cessation text functionality, and the initial results have been really, really positive. So if you're trying to drive an action, SnapAd with swipe up to text or call is a great example of how the Truth Initiative is taking advantage of some of the new technologies and falling in line with the way in which teenagers are experiencing their mobile device. The next one is an example of a Snapchat commercial. It's an online video product. It's the only unskippable ad product on Snap. It's 6-second video. And this is an example from The Real Cost and their smokeless tobacco efforts on Snap.
You don't need this on the field. You need skill.
This campaign ran in 20 states, targeted to males 13 to 17-year-olds. And I can say anecdotally, the brand metrics around this campaign have been one of the most successful in Snapchat's history. It's been really exciting, and we're only at the beginning of working with our partners at the FDA, as well as the Rescue Agency. This last one within content is a story ad. So I talked about Stay Tuned, I talked about Wall Black. This gives advertisers the opportunity to insert themselves into the Discover environment of Snapchat and tell a longer-term narrative around their product, around their message, and I'll show you this example. So all of these can be long form. The story ad's probably the best suited for it. It can be up to 3 minutes in length. And again, gives you a chance to tell a story, to be a Discover publisher, and kind of paint a longer form picture of the message you're sending, the opportunities that young people have. All 3 of these ad units have a click-through. On Snapchat, it's called a swipe up. So they do have someplace else to go, and it's a behavior that Snapchat has trained people, if you will, to know to do if they want to get more information. So camera marketing is what I'll end with you on. So we have lenses. So this is true augmented reality. Over 75% of Snapchatters are playing with augmented reality on a daily basis, and it is an excellent way to communicate your message through a camera experience that can be extremely, extremely submersive. An example from Fresh Empire. It doesn't have to be technologically advanced. It can be very simple, and sometimes simple works best. In that example, just simply putting a Fresh Empire hat on your head. And then lastly, filters. A very ubiquitous functionality of Snap. It's applied to a Snap in a post-capture environment. So you're taking a picture, and you're swiping it to add a layer of meaning or context to your communication. So if you take anything away from today, one, I think we should be really optimistic about young people. I think we should consider how we get the message of our services across to young people and where we get that across. What platforms do we use? And where are we going to get the most efficiency for the investments that we have? But when you do that, keep it short, right? The attention spans of young people are a little bit shorter than I think some older folks. But let's take advantage of that. Keep it short. You can get your message across. Keep it impactful, right? Get your brand, your message out from the 0 second and communicate what the services or opportunities you're rendering can be. Vertical. We're all on our phones more than ever, and that trend is continuing. Think about the vertical and think of what it means to creatively consider for the vertical. Either produce in vertical, or let's edit horizontal for a vertical experience. And lastly, I don't want to belabor this, but mobile. right? Think about the mobile experience and how young people are using that device as their primary means for accessing the world around them. And I really do believe we're just getting started. You guys are all incredibly inspiring to me, and I am here to help. So is Snapchat. So as much as we can partner with you to create the messages to engage teenagers, we're here to do it with you. Thanks so much.